Hey Sagittarius. Sagittarius. Just sitting here cracking my own self up. So we are doing your full moon in Leo reading, and it's the wolf moon, which was last night actually. And so technically we are in the waning gibbous mode of said full moon, but we're still technically under it. He's still in Leo, so we're gonna get these out there. This is just the time that I am performing the reading, and so whenever you land on this and click on this is when it's meant for you. All of my readings are timeless and general. So Sagittarius, if this does resonate with you, please do hit the like button, subscribe, drop me a comment if you see fit or feel so moved. I do love hearing from you. Without further ado, Sagittarius, let's get into this. So right now what this deals with, your situation is Five of Wands energy. The Five of Wands is the energy of competition, of healthy competition, of sparring, of of conflict too, a little bit. So it's going to be determined by the rest of the cards, sort of what this speaks to. But by and large, this type of conflict is not that big a deal. It often has to do with petty minds, people getting involved, egos bumping into each other, everybody kind of having their own idea about how to do the same project, but nobody stepping back to listen, and so it just all kind of bungs up against each other, and it gets messy and sloppy, and it doesn't have to. If somebody just would allow somebody to take the lead. Supporting or crossing this energy is the Page of Swords, and the Page of Swords has to do with communication that is ill-refined, unsophisticated, and so I feel like that it is feeding into this sense of conflict, is that nobody's really communicating in a way that's clear and crisp and concise. Everybody might be telling their own truth, but it's just not getting through to anybody because everybody's so intent on getting their point of view across. And so that type of ill-refined or unrefined communication can lead to conflict. You can kind of see that. The Page of Swords also talks about observation, and so there might be a lot of this happening on social media or via text or via email, which, let's just face it, is not always, especially when things get complicated or you're not getting through. It's not the best way to be communicating. People just need to have a meeting already or get on the phone, wherever this deals with. So it's going to be different for everybody. These might be actual relationships in your life, family relationships. It could be on the job, so it's going to be different for everybody. Take it how it resonates. But this is sort of what you're dealing with right now at this time, Sagittarius. At the root of you, there's some group energy here. It's the Three of Cups, and the Three of Cups is it's celebration. It's coming together, and in social gatherings, it's group energy. This could point to where this begins. Group energy, Sagittarius, for you right now is what is what you're dealing with. There's a lot of cooks in the kitchen. There's a lot of people coming together, and typically like-minded people, but something's going on. I think in the past, you came together in a really joyous, celebratory way that felt very supported and supportive. But something's happened where communication's gone awry, and that's not happening as smoothly anymore. Let's see if we can save it. In your recent past is the Five of Swords in the reverse, and this is the feeling of releasing that idea that that there's futility around this. So, okay, a couple of things coming through for you, Sagittarius. First of all, there's a sense of exhaustion here when you keep on having to stand up for yourself or trying to make your point heard or get your point across, and this is not landing. It's not landing, and but you really feel it's important to have your point heard, but it's not coming across. It's in the reverse here, and so there's a sense where you have to release this tack in the past energy. This means that this has occurred to you, and you understand that that this is what needs to happen. Because this ends up becoming the Five of Wands, it tells me that Sagittarius, that was really wise, because this Five of Swords energy was able to soften into the Wands energy. So now what was a battle and like kind of this warring feeling of a lot of potential loss, because with swords people can actually get hurt. You were able to, by turning it upside down and releasing some of the intensity of that energy, you were able to transmute it into more of a Wands energy. And so now, even though there's a little bit of conflict and competition, it's softened, and with these Wands, people aren't as apt to get hurt as they spar together. So that was a really wise decision, and very that was really enlightened. A very enlightened move on your part, Sagittarius. So what's crowning you is the energy of the Page of Cups. Yeah, this is your energy. It's a very whimsical, loving, and creative energy. And that makes a lot of sense to me. This is exactly the type of energy that would transmute Swords energy into Wands energy, which is to say, like something very volatile and potentially dangerous into something a lot more, that speaks more to passions. So it's an interesting way to look at the elemental equations, which is to say that the Swords energy is air, and it's all up in the head, and it gets really intellectualized. And so if we sit there and we intellectualize our issues and our differences, we can go really far. We can actually get to a point where we're hurting people with our words. And then you bring a little water into it, which is love, and some heart into the situation, which it seems that you've done, and you transmute that air into, and this isn't exactly how it works here on Earth, but the idea is that with a little love, you turn that intellectual energy of the Swords into a fiery, passionate energy of the Wands. And so that's how it was able to be subdued to this. What was, sort of like a more up in the head, I have to win this thing, now is like, I'm in a place where I'm passionate again about what I'm talking about. And if we can communicate to each other in that way, and remember to imbue a little bit of love in it as well, I think we get farther. And nobody gets hurt. And so this is the energy that's crowning you. You bring a sort of youthful whimsy to the conversation that allows people to understand how they can deal with this more creatively. And that's really, really beautiful, Sagittarius. It's a messenger of love, like you became the messenger of love, in this situation. And then you elevate. You've got the Queen of Cups in your near future. This is, again, more water energy overflowing with nurturing, bountiful love. This may be a water sign in your midst. It doesn't have to be, though. It's sign of Cancer, Scorpio, Pisces, though. But again, not necessarily. This, I believe, actually becomes your energy, Sagittarius. And male or female, Queen is just representative of a very exalted aspect of the Cups energy of love and emotion. And so what that means to me is that you've graduated from the page level all the way up to the Queen, pre-Empress, and so you're lending to the supreme creativity of this group, and also for yourself. You become a real key player in this, and a real nurturer to this group energy, and you do that by living in a great deal of compassion. The Queen of Cups talks about compassion. She also talks about a great deal of intuition, and intuition is how you're navigating through all of this, because things get really cluttered even when you try to voice them. When people have tried to talk about it, intellectualize it, and it became sparring. It was still sparring when we're just being passionate, and so you're really using your loving intuition to navigate through this, and into the future you elevate yourself and the group. In your personal energy here is the Ace of Swords, which is breakthrough, mental clarity. For you, this brings a lot of mental clarity forward, and it's no wonder you're able to turn the tide like you have been able to do. You have really, through this, because the interesting thing that happens is because you're able able to come forward with your heart space and with a great deal of compassion, you're actually able to get through to people and communicate much more clearly than anybody else had been able to do before. So you become a very clear communicator. You offer breakthroughs for yourself, and it's a victory too. The Ace of Swords speaks to a great victory as well, and that's the space that you're standing in through this time, in this period, in this energy. Sagittarius in your environment is the Hermit. You might be dealing with a Virgo. Some of you, doesn't have to be though. But in your environment, what ends up happening is like you lend everybody a little wisdom, and everybody is given the opportunity to also become their higher self and own that sage wisdom. And you bring, like, you brought them this little light box and said, hey, you guys, there's another way to do this. We can get through to each other in a way that's much more effective and doesn't hurt anybody. You know, if we just all take a step back and let's start communicating with our higher minds instead of like the need to win the conversation all the time. We just need to to make sure that we're being effective and for the sake of each other and the group and what we're doing here together, whether it's in relationships, family, or workplaces, environments, project environments, whatever it is. Like, you really inspire people through your loving compassion and your very clear communication and energy of breakthrough. This exaltation gets through to people, and you communicate to them how they can be more enlightened, and how they can start communicating using their higher mind, and it just makes everything better. In your hopes and fears is the Hangman in reverse, and that it makes so much sense to me that you would be afraid that this enlightenment would come to an end, that people would just revert back to what they'd been doing before. And that's a legitimate fear, because if that's how people are used to operating, it's something that that regression is on the table, and you recognize that. It's smart too, but people have gotten all the way up to the Hermit here, and that's really great. And you're afraid that they may forget themselves and revert to lower minded tactics and thinking. In your outcome though, you get a Tower, and this is a positive Tower, because it means that the paradigm is shifting, that you no longer have to be afraid of regression, because you've actually moved the needle forward. It was unexpected. It happened in a way that was like, it sort of came through as breakthrough. This sword energy of this victory is this sort of like universe, like stabbing upwards, into your consciousness, saying like, this is your victory, this is your breakthrough. And it came out of nowhere to you, even though you've been moving through it with a lot of compassion and hope and feeding it and nurturing this situation forward. It successfully allowed for this paradigm to shift, and what went before, which is in this case all of this conflict and chaos, you're allowing this Tower to fall. And it's really, really amazing. And because it had to fall, it wasn't working anymore. So clearly it wasn't working anymore. So let's get some more clarifiers on this guy here. Oh no, it's all the way down there. I'll get it. I see it. Sagittarius. Yeah. That came up for you last time too. Oh, but let's get that guy over here. I was doing so well. Sagittarius. So what's happening here is, as the paradigm shifts, you get the Wounded Warrior, the Nine of Wands, and so you do get a really clear victory out of this, but it's taken a lot of work, and there's a sense of exhaustion about it, but it is a win. It's a win, and it's like you have taken away, I see this, all of these wands, like you win the situation through love and compassion, and then you've taken all of their wands away, and you stand them all up, and you're like, oh, you're like that tired parent going like, oh my God, leaning on that last staff going like, geez, what do I have to do with you guys? You know, like to take all your wands away from you in order to get through this. It's so funny, but it is a win, you know. And so the paradigm shift does happen. The tower falls, and you get a new dawn of a new day. And out of that, what happens is a sense of justice and balance. There's also a sense of Three of Swords. So there's a little heartbreak, and the sense of like some of these people, you know, they need to be let go, and you need to begin healing some of the wounds that, you know, maybe there were some instigators in the midst. And the Three of Swords just speaks to a sense of when you understand and bring balance, when balance is restored after the tower falls. You know, a tower moment doesn't, you know, even if it's a positive tower, because it has to fall, the paradigm has to shift, it does imply that, you know, something was working away at the brick and mortar. Something was wheeling away, and the Three of Swords was the energy that was sort of wearing it down, and so it needed to be, you know, addressed and taken care of. You know, and so once the tower falls, you have the opportunity to recognize what this energy was and deal with it and heal from it, and also to eradicate it. And so there's a sense of justice and balance restored as you address that and do that. The Justice card is here to say that that this what comes next is legitimized and it's legal. For some of you, this is going to resonate. It's just coming to my legal documents. Legal documents are signed, and balance is restored. Equilibrium is restored to the new paradigm, to the new the new thing that you establish. And what you establish is something that is really beautiful and creative and nurturing. The King of Pentacles is this fatherly energy that's so beautiful. He's the most exalted aspect of his element of air, which is element of earth, pardon me, and which means that he's very measured and creative, and he has with him, you know, the structure and the reliability of the Emperor. He is pre-Emperor, and so he's backed by that energy, but he also has in him a little bit of, you know, this water, this compassion that comes along that allows him to be nurturing and allows him to bear fruit. His robes are dressed with grapes in this sense, so he's bearing fruit, and so he's got the ability to create and recreate and produce and reproduce, and he is the most exalted father figure. And he's got the energy of the sun behind him with all of that yellow. It's life-bringing, it's life-giving. And so he's enwizened. He's, you know, there to offer steady guidance. And this is your energy. This is what you rise up to, Sagittarius. Male or female, it doesn't matter what gender. This is the most exalted aspect of the earth. And you are there in creativity as well. All of your projects and ventures come forward with so much creativity, and it's all because this paradigm was able to shift, and you're able to heal from this, and you know, and it was hard fought, hard won, but you do win it, and it is a sense of justice and karma. This is karmic justice in your favor. Everything balances out. Sagittarius, is a beautiful and powerful reading for you. I hope this resonated, and if it did, please do hit the like button, subscribe, and drop me a comment if you feel so moved. I do love to hear from you. I hope to see you at the next reading, and until then, I'm sending you so much love and light. Thank you.